It's Chillmonger. This is Jonathan Majors. Portion of the interview from the Night News on Sunday. Let's watch.
Hear from Jonathan Majors, speaking out for the first time since being convicted of misdemeanor reckless assault. Majors is known for churning out multiple box office hits, including Creed 3. He was one of Marvel's leading men, starring as Kang.
He was one of Marvel's leading men. He was
The Conqueror in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. But last March, his girlfriend at the time, Grace Jabari, accused Majors of attacking her. And
accused. That's right. That is what happened.
in December, he was convicted in New York of reckless assault, a misdemeanor, and harassment. He'll be sentenced next month.
You know how they stopped to say a misdemeanor? That's also, kind of positive to hear that. It softens it.
Marvel, which is owned by our parent company Disney, dropped him. I spoke with Majors in an exclusive. Marvel, which is owned by our parent company Disney, dropped him.
All right then, dropped him. I got it. It's confirmed now.
Spoke with Majors in an exclusive interview where he addressed Jabari's allegations. She says inside the car, you hit her in the face, twist her arm behind her back, fracture her middle finger.
Yeah, that did not happen.
What happened?
She went to grab the phone. I held the phone. I pulled the phone back. She came on top of me, squeezed my face, slapped me. That's all I remember.
So she ends up with a 1-inch cut.
So hold on. You mean to tell me the story she tells, where she did get the phone, and then he had to get it back from her? You mean to tell me she never had the phone in her hand? He always had it in his hand? Okay.
Behind her ear.
Laceration, yes, ma'am.
Fractured finger.
Yeah.
How did those injuries come about?
And notice that it's daytime, right? Like this is 11 hours later.
I wish to God I knew.
I would have preferred him if he said, those injuries could have happened when she went to the club. Those injuries could have happened when she was pulling me. Maybe she was hitting me and that's how she damaged the finger. Maybe while she was leaving the club, you know how many drinks she had. We saw her in a closet. It looks like she was inebriated. She could have fell down there. There's a lot of time between between 12 p.m. a.m. midnight and 11 a.m. There's a lot of time for that injury to have taken place. And there's a lot of video footage of her injury, of her finger, being used. That's reasonable doubt that he is the one who caused the injury a few moments earlier. Adrenaline is one thing, but there were hours where you were fine.
That would give clarity. That would give me some type of peace about it.
But you're confident you didn't cause
I have no question.
What's interesting about the jury's verdict, it's so nuanced because they're saying you didn't intend to injure her.
Right.
But the result of your recklessness injured her.
Right.
Were you reckless?
I was reckless with her heart.
Once upon a time I was falling in love, but now I'm only falling apart. Nothing you can say.
I was reckless with her heart.
Not with her body.
Not with her body.
I like how she stops and goes, not with her body. And he just got to confirm it right afterwards. So it is trying to make him look good. The angle of, it wasn't an intentional assault and it was only reckless. That's also kind of good. But at the same time, let's just be real and say that reckless assault should have never happened either. There was no proof of it.
In response, Jabari's lawyer said Major's statements show a clear lack of remorse, and Jabari will continue to speak the truth. Tomorrow on Good Morning.
He's got a lack of remorse. That man you just saw right there, brought into tears, had a lack of remorse. And then she says tomorrow they're going to go to Good Morning America.
Majors discusses the role of race, his relationship with actress Megan Good, and his reference to Coretta Scott King, and much more. Streaming at 7 p.m. on ABC News Live Prime. An extended version will air Thursday on Impact on Hulu.
I'm now on Good Morning America's website. This is what aired on the morning.
First interview since he was convicted of misdemeanor reckless assault and harassment. And there's really a lot to unpack here. He calls the 2-year relationship with Grace Jabari toxic, dangerous, and unhealthy. But he is adamant. He says there was absolutely no physical abuse.
Less than a year ago, the name Jonathan Majors was followed by talk of critical and box office success, skyrocketing fame, even Oscar buzz.
I'm coming for everything.
But this morning, a different conversation surrounds that marquee name.
Something about sitting here right now and looking at you and understanding the gravity of the situation. a situation that I, in many ways, put myself in.
The actor spoke exclusively with ABC News for the...
Like, imagine that clip playing if Megan Good wasn't always with him. Why? Like, if you needed to find a clip of Jonathan Majors walking into the courtroom and all you had to look at was that ugly security guard and cops surrounding him. But for the sake of this B-roll footage right here happening on Good Morning America, as well as others, Megan Good made sure that she will always be in a screen, on the shot, on the frame with Jonathan.
Exclusively with ABC News for the first time after being convicted in late December for harassment and misdemeanor reckless assault in the 3rd degree, which could carry a penalty of up to a year behind bars.
Why did you decide you wanted to talk now?
I felt like it was time. A lot has happened.
Be real. Because if I talked before, anything I say can will be used against me in court. That's why.
In my personal life, in my career, in the culture, it's about responsibility.
He said in the culture, he looked at Linsey like, you better not Robin Roberts me, okay? And then also notice, I'll play it again, also notice after he says in the culture, the next thing he says, there's like a skip, there's an edit. And I hope that edit is just because he was taking a long time between words, which I've done in my videos, where I'll be silent for like 5 seconds, and then I'll get to my next point, and I know just to edit that out, because why would you want to watch when my face is over here? And then I'm like, these TV people, what's he going to get more into culture?
In the culture, it's about responsibility.
See?
And coming forward and being brave and giving my part of the story.
Your reaction to that verdict?
Shock. I was absolutely shocked, and afraid.
Let me just talk. I wasn't shocked, but I was. What is that? When you exhale, what is that? It's just yeah, things like this happen.
And I'm standing there, and the verdict comes down. I say, how is that possible? Based off the evidence, based off the prosecution's evidence, let alone our evidence.
It's because he's black. That's why, Jonathan. You didn't know? No, it's a thing. Yeah, you're guilty until proven innocent. And you got to be like video camera proof of you 24/7. There needed to be a camera in the car showing that you didn't do anything to her. The witness, the driver, saying that nothing happened, saying that she was the aggressor. You were saying to stop the car, leave me alone. That doesn't matter. You're black, Jonathan. It's so silly.
How is that possible?
But after only hours of deliberation, a jury of his peers agreed with prosecutors.
Stop. This camera puts Jonathan on the left side of this photo. Usually photos show the person in the center shot. If that was the case, then on the left of the side would be Megan Good. For some reason, they wanted to show you him with Seth Zuckerman as a lawyer and no Megan Good.
Prosecutors that he did physically injure his then girlfriend Grace Jabari in an incident last March.
What happened exactly? Do you know?
No, I don't know. But she went unconscious.
That was all that they showed of the 911 call. I wish they showed more, but maybe that's, again, they clip things for TV. There will be a long form, like hour-long special, which they just told us is going to be on Impact. And I hope that gives you more of a better story. I also know that Good Morning America has more viewers.
911 call from Majors came hours after an argument broke out with Jabari in the back seat of an SUV when Majors received a text from another woman saying, "Oh, how I wish to be kissing you." Jabari testified that when she grabbed the phone, Majors tried to get it back, fracturing.
Okay, stop. They played that scene. Very scratchy. It looks like, oh no, maybe it looks like he is hurting her. You need to show the continuation of this. Because that, when you put that in a little clip, that's not a good look, ABC. Show how he gets out and she remains to follow him up to the sidewalk. How he keeps trying to evade her. Show that. Complete the footage to give them full context. Why are we doing this interview if you're going to do this?
Fracturing her finger and giving her a cut behind her ear.
She says inside the car, you hit her in the face, twist her arm behind her back, fracture her middle finger. Now,
she's just telling you this. First time you're introduced to this case, you're just watching Good Morning America, and you just saw a footage of him pushing her without showing completely that she's still following him, coming after him. They're imagining, oh yeah, he twisted her finger, he pulled it across the arm, hammerlock. Yeah, that's what he did. That's what you're thinking. That's why they need to show the full clip.
Yeah, that did not happen.
How did those injuries come about?
We saw this.
I wish to God I knew. That would give clarity. That would give me some type of peace about it.
But you're confident you didn't
I have
cause
no
them.
question.
Surveillance
Good.
video shows Majors getting out of the car, followed by Jabari, whom he then puts back inside the vehicle. What happens next is...
It's just the time skip. That's what's crazy. You know what's really key to show what they didn't show is when they're at the top right side and she's still coming at him and he's pushing off her just so he can run away from her. That part is really important. Don't just skip straight to the running part. And then when you're showing the running part, show when she nearly gets run over by that white car. They're gonna...
What the defense remains focused on. Majors runs off, and Jabari chases after him.
If you watch those videos and you reverse that, and you saw a black man chasing a young white girl down
And by the way, there's more camera angles than they're showing you.
the street, screaming and crying, that man is going to be shot and killed in the streets of New York City.
I feel like that's an extreme, and you can't say for certainty that a man will be shot and killed, but it's possible that could happen, yes.
Major's defense team shared these photos, which he says show the injuries he received that night, which were deemed inadmissible in court.
How were you injured?
My injuries were a scratch on my hand, you know, from clawing for the phone.
Which was inadmissible in court. That will sway an audience.
And I had a gash on my, at the time I had a beard. Under my beard I had essentially a fingernail scratch on my, I guess my cheek from pressure. And that bled overnight.
But prosecutors...
So when they put a picture up on the screen and you just hear his voice, they could be editing so much underneath there that you don't know what he's saying. I wanted to hear more. I wanted to see him say it. Do a side-by-side where I can see his face moving here and I can see the clip of the pillow. And that's what gets me nervous about this, the way that it was trimmed and cut. I got to see the full form, though.
say Majors was the aggressor. District Attorney Alvin Bragg says the evidence presented throughout this trial illustrated a cycle of psychological and emotional abuse. In court, prosecutors pointed to a previous argument during which he knocked a candle to the floor.
I completely lost my temper in that moment and threw it all on the ground. That's not something I would want my child to do, and I did that. I absolutely did that.
The way that they cut away back to Linsey's face, it's not a thing that my child would do. And I did that. I know that there was a cut. They just showed you Linsey's face instead. It's so troublesome, man.
And felt terrible about it.
The prosecution also played audio Jabari had recorded earlier in the relationship,
Jabari had secretly recorded without him knowing,
where Majors encouraged her to act more like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama.
I'm a great man. A great man.
They should have also told you that on this day she came home drunk, bringing foolishness. What does he say? He said you brought chaos to the home. You could add that. But again, this is a little clip for TV, and they're like YouTubers basically, just for the entertainment, to squeeze everything into a nice little commercial break slot instead of reporting news.
I am doing great things, not just for me, but for my culture and for the world. That is actually the position I'm in.
I co-sign that.
The woman that supports me needs to be a great woman.
There are some who question, especially in the black community, as you're probably well aware, that people were saying, well, why was he telling this woman to be like Coretta Scott King and Michelle Obama?
It was me trying to give an analogy of what it is I'm aspiring to be.
Yeah, we know that. You didn't need to explain that.
You know, these great men.
And he is doing great things. The reach of Hollywood is massive, and the influence that you have as the characters that you play is massive. That's why Black Panther was what it was in 2018, recast T'Challa. When he says he's a great man, you can't just say he's just an actor. What does he mean? Those are civil rights leaders. A positive message is a positive message. Yeah, there's different ways to go about it, right? If this guy was a doctor, that would also be really great stuff. He was the lead of his hospital, like Grey's Anatomy. What's his name? Like that. That would be great also. But the level and reach that this guy has, the ability to portray and make others who don't humanize with his skin, to make them humanize with his skin, that's needed. That's necessary. And if he's really good at that job, then the benefits racially, the progression that can come through him is great. Hence, he's a great man. I rest my case.
Martin, President Obama, in trying to give a reference point to that, one of the things I also say is, like, I need her, in that case, Grace, to make the same sacrifices that I am making.
In a statement to ABC News, an attorney for Jabari said in part, it is not at all surprising that Mr. Majors continues to take no accountability for his actions, adding, the timing of these new statements demonstrates a clear lack.
Bruh, everything is racial. It's not surprising he's not taking accountability for his actions. Why isn't it surprising? Brittany Henderson? They never do, don't they?
Of remorse for his actions.
Do you feel you're not responsible for her injuries at all?
I shouldn't have been in the car.
The camera cut makes me think, is he answering the question that way? Or you feel like you're not responsible for the injuries at all? I shouldn't have been in the car. I wish there was a wide shot where we could see both of them, you know, like a Shannon Sharp interview, and we wouldn't have to question if there was a little bit of editing and trimming. But maybe he answered that question just like she asked. She just said, are you responsible for the injuries at all? I shouldn't have been in the car.
Injuries at all?
I shouldn't have been in the car. I shouldn't have stepped out of the relationship. I shouldn't have been in the relationship. If I'm not in the car, none of this is happening. If I leave the relationship, none of this is happening. If I'm man enough or brave enough to say, I want to see somebody else, or I'm done now, I'm not in that car. We're not here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm responsible for those things.
But none of her injuries?
I can't say that. None of her injuries.
Oh, you see that when he says, I can't say that? He realized, oh, no, I got to answer. And none of your injuries. Yeah. Nobody tried to interpret that as, oh, he doesn't answer. So that's why he has to go back with, oh, yeah, none of her injuries. See?
But none of her injuries?
I can't say that. None of her injuries.
Sentencing is less than a month away. Legal analysts say it's possible but unlikely that he would get any time behind bars. He's already said he plans to appeal.
Okay. I didn't hear about that. He plans to appeal. The second part of this will play in a second. Let's go, ABC.
Now to more of my exclusive interview with Jonathan Majors, the actor who was convicted of misdemeanor reckless assault and harassment just as his career was taking off. Majors says he always intended to take the witness stand, but didn't in the end because he felt the prior testimony was so compelling that there was nothing else for him to add.
Honestly, yeah. The testimony of her admitting to taking to hitting him, the testimony that the driver said it was all that. He's like, the hell, what do I need to do and come here and talk? There's a video that we showed, all the video of running. No, she went to the club. Okay. The 911 call played. I was the one who dialed 911. It wasn't her calling 911 on me. This is all played. What can I really add? The only thing that can happen is that they could ask me a question. Hey, this. That opens up for witness. And we talk to his ex from 2014 and see what can happen. There's no reason for him to take the stand. I get it. Again, this is on the jury for deciding that the evidence showed he damaged her finger. This really lies heavy on the jury, the judges, the DA, and everyone else. But like, yeah, I kind of can see how at that moment, as a guy who's been following it day by day, going, yeah, you really don't need to take the stand.
But now that the jury has spoken, he felt it was time to tell his story.
This has been very, very, very hard and very difficult and confusing in many ways.
Jonathan Majors breaking his silence just weeks after a Manhattan jury found him guilty of misdemeanor reckless assault and harassment of his ex-girlfriend Grace Jabari. The actor at times emotional.
Oh, sorry. You know, I haven't seen my daughter in a long time. You know, And
I don't like to hear that.
a lot of it has to do with this situation.
I would imagine, and I want to know more just because I'm like, eager to know more, but still, none of my business. Shout out to Megan Good for being in the shot.
In a split verdict, Majors was found not guilty of 2 other misdemeanors, assault with intent to cause physical injury and aggravated assault.
They're saying you didn't intend
Right.
to injure her,
Right.
but the result of your recklessness
Right.
injured her.
Right.
Were you reckless?
I was reckless with her heart,
Not with her body.
not with her body.
I like how she says, but not with her body.
The physical altercation started inside an SUV after Majors received a suggestive text message from another woman. Hours later, after Majors placed a 911 call, police found Jabari.
That's informative. Hours later, after Majors dials 911, after he placed the call, and then they cut to the video of the police body-worn footage where you see her laying down there. What a great way to present this. Because that's exactly what happened. That's how it happened.
Unconscious on the closet floor, and there.
But this is also when you mentioned she wasn't unconscious. Just a few minutes earlier, she was sending text messages, and that was proven in court. We also got to see all of her alcoholism, sneaking drinks in while Jonathan's in the restroom, and we saw her going to the club, drinking even more. We saw her using his credit card up, but wasting his money. This is where you can add those, but he does, and I don't think, I want to see the interview. I want to know if he does that. I want to know if he just goes off on her and just says, she stole my credit card, stole my phone. The prosecutors wouldn't prosecute. I want him to give that.
Her apartment, as seen.
Or maybe that will come off as aggressive.
In this body camera footage.
You feel that you did anything wrong on the night of March 25th? If you could relive that night?
I wouldn't have picked her up. I wouldn't have picked her up. I wouldn't have put her back in the car. I wouldn't have tried to keep her in the car. I would have gotten out that car.
Well, you kind of did, actually. You did get out of the car, and she pursued you, which is when you picked her up. You didn't mess up that bad. It's the jury for pretending to see assault, reckless assault.
And ran.
Which you did.
Immediately.
You did.
The two met back in 2021 on the set of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
The prosecution has described your relationship with Grace Jabari as tumultuous and abusive. How would you describe that 2-year relationship?
Dr. Umar was right. I said Dr. Umar was right. He said I loved Grace.
Our relationship was not healthy, and that began to reveal itself over time.
Why'd you stay?
I was scared. With the red flags, I found that, and I use this word, I said, oh, this is dangerous. This is months before the incident. I should have been brave.
There was a time skip right there. This was months before the incident, and then the voice kind of changes a little bit. I should have been brave. Watch it again.
The incident, I should have been brave. I should have said, no, this isn't working, and I should have walked away. And I didn't.
Troubling signs in the relationship were...
This was in September, and she doesn't go to Sundance. She doesn't go to the Oscars with him, nothing.
Revealed when prosecutors presented text messages where Majors expressed suicidal thoughts, saying, maybe I'm such a monster and horrible man that I don't deserve it and should just kill myself.
Were you suicidal?
The ideations of removing myself from situations permanently is a thought that I've had, since I was a kid, since I was a young boy on the farm in Texas, it's not there anymore. I've done that. I'm doing the work to keep it at bay and make sure it's not there anymore.
Through it all, Majors knew...
He didn't say the word suicide. He just said the thought of removing myself permanently. And I'm doing the work to, I don't know. Yeah, again, there's worry and there's concern. I low-key, I would love to know, no, I wasn't actually suicide. I just wanted to say that so she wouldn't go and report things. She'd be less likely to if that's what I wanted to hear. But yeah.
New girlfriend, actress Megan Good, has remained by his side, even present for our interview.
How would you describe your relationship?
She's an angel. She's held me down like a Coretta,
Yeah.
I'm so blessed to have her. The relationship is.
I was on her Instagram earlier.
Still
He's right.
fresh, but I think I found her.
The March 2023 incident thrust Major's dating history into the forefront. A Rolling Stone article back in June detailed multiple allegations of abusive behavior.
You see that right there? By Cheyenne Whitetree and Althea Legaspi wrote this article. Give them attention, everybody.
Dating back to Major's relationships in college. Allegations Majors vehemently denies. His attorneys offered past partners to defend him.
Have you ever had issues with domestic abuse?
I've witnessed it, but never participated, you know. I mean, I've been smacked up before, you know, but yeah, never exercised it. Those relationships went back to when I was, 21, 22 years old, and I just think, was I a jerk? You know, was I, a mean guy, And I go, yeah, knowing what I know now, like, oh. Severe depression, childhood trauma. I've had very few relationships, so I can gather what situations we're talking about. Yeah, I was not the best boyfriend all the time.
But never hit a woman?
Never hit a woman.
But that's kind of what the Rolling Stone articles were. Well, some of them said you hit, but a lot of them were saying, yeah, we witnessed this, and he was very intimidating, and this and that, little code words. What do you call them? There's a word for it. Dog whistle might be the term that I'm looking for, where people who were there with him in school were making it seem like he was this bad guy. Well, he's in Yale. Look at his skin tone. Look at the majority of his students there. And what do you think they think of people like him and how their ability to humanize with a guy like him? Whatever he does is just amplified times 2. If he does something that's a little bit bad, then it's really bad. If he doesn't smile at somebody, he was being mean, not he just didn't smile at somebody. If this man was really a ruckus on the campuses of Yale, he'd have been dealt with.
My hands have never struck a woman, ever.
After gaining critical...
And if he takes the stands and he says that, you know what they do? We're going to bring his ex-girlfriend back when he was 21. Has he ever struck you? Yes, he did. He struck me. So I take the stand.
Acclaim for films like The Last Black Man in San Francisco, Major's once red-hot career is now seemingly at a standstill.
How are you feeling?
Moments after the verdict, Marvel Studios dropped him. He was set to play the prominent character Kang in upcoming films.
I am Kang!
But despite the possibility of serving time, Majors believes the script for his career is still being written.
You think he'll ever work in Hollywood again?
Yeah, I do. I pray I do. But it's God's plan and God's timing.
For those who...
He laughed at that one. You think I'll ever work at Hollywood again? Yeah, I do. But it's up to like 6 white men. The guy who runs Sony, Netflix, Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Universal, MGM, Amazon.
Say, look, he's convicted at this point. What would you say? I mean, do you deserve a second chance?
I think I do. I hope other people think that.
During closing arguments, Jonathan Majors' attorney said his worst fears as a black man calling 911 in America came true. Those words brought Majors to tears in court. He says race very much played a role in his arrest. He claims he was injured. He points to surveillance video where Grace Jabari pursued him, chasing him for blocks. She was arrested but never prosecuted. He calls that unjust. And we'll have much more streaming tonight at 7 p.m. on ABC News Live Prime and on Thursday on Impact by Nightline.
They could have added that more, though. The DA, the same people persecuting him, said that there was no prosecutorial merit for her charges against her.
Grace?
Hi, Grace.
Grace? Do you have a comment, Grace?
How do you feel about being charged with a crime?
I think it was a decent outing, more than decent. It was good to get that story across to some Good Morning America crowd. What do they think about it? I don't know. But now it's time to go to a media that will have no cuts. All right? Let's see how it plays on Impact. And then on Friday, who are you going to speak to next? Shannon Sharpe. is on top of everybody's list. Something happened last week. Shannon Sharpe is the go-to place right now. Because you mean this guy's going to sit down for 2 hours and give us the breakdown step by step? It would be different than the Cat Williams interview, but still. If not him, I don't know. Is Stephen A. Smith doing anything? Is he the guy? Nah. If not Stephen A. Smith, if it's not Shannon Sharpe, you can suggest in the comment section who else that there is for him to do these interviews with. I want one more interview. And then the next time we see him doing interviews, it should be to talk about a movie and then just close it out. With that being said, it's been a crazy time. It's been a crazy week. There'll be more videos covering this interview for the parts that we didn't see. Showmonger out.